Hi, everyone, and welcome to the ASPRS Mentors Podcast. My name is Greg Stavnis, Chair of the ASPRS Early Career Professionals Council, or ECPC. We also have with us today Jordan Hicks, Vice Chair of the ECPC. Jordan, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I'm Jordan Hicks, Vice Chair of the Early Career Professionals Council. I'm a lidar specialist in North Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm really excited to hear from Bill Swope today.
Thanks, Jordan. And as Jordan mentioned, our guest this week is Bill Swope. So first off, Bill, are you okay with us recording this and sharing it on various channels?
Sure.
Okay, well, can we start off, I guess, as we always do, with a little introduction from yourself and talk about your background and kind of how your career progression from early career professional to where you are right now.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And this is a great podcast and a great effort that you guys do. So glad to see you doing it. My belief is we need to bring in new people, young people all the time. So this is outstanding. So my name's Bill Swope. I'm a certified photogrammetrist through ASPRS, and I'm the technical leader in survey and geospatial at Halff Associates in Richardson, Texas, which is essentially the Dallas area. This is my 17th year, essentially in the geospatial profession. And I came to it kind of in a roundabout way. So I'm an English major and history major. And I was working in software database management and did business development for that as well. And I was in Scottsdale, Arizona at the time, living and working. And I had a friend that knew of a company that was looking for somebody to do business development for photogrammetry for their company or those services. And I interviewed with these guys and was hired by Vertical Mapping Resources. And once they got me hired, we were kind of like, okay, I really don't know what photogrammetry is. And so they had me do some production and had me work with their production staff for a while until I got acquainted with things. And then from that point on, I began doing business development for them in Arizona, in California, in Nevada, so in the Southwest, and have just progressed through my career since then. Over 17 years now, as we're getting onwards and upwards. And I found myself now in the Dallas area working for Halff in their survey group, which is a little bit different than what I had done in the past because I'd always been with a smaller photogrammetric firm. And so this was kind of a big eye-opening experience with me, not only in terms of the size of the company and all those elements that go along with it, but also working in a survey practice, being the photogrammetrist for them, and then trying to expand that into all of geospatial services as well. So I've been at Halff now for just over 5 years. I came here in 2019.
I like your strategy of working with production staff. I'm thinking, why didn't I think of that? Because we had this challenge where the business development people we had previously where I used to work didn't have that technical knowledge. So I spent many lunch hours like teaching them in, presentation kind of PowerPoint format, but it would have, if we would have just got them doing some of the work, that would have done a lot more than what I did.
Yeah, it was a pretty effective way. I mean, we kind of started with them showing me how to do layouts. And so kind of beginning from the process where it starts all the way to the end of it. So it was a challenge. I wasn't a young person when I started with Vertical Mapping Resources. So I was a little bit older, but I think that kind of helped me too, because I was a little bit more serious about my career. And once I started to work in photogrammetry, I was just completely intrigued by it and fascinated by the technology with it. And now I've got to see it move from, film-based photogrammetry to digital. So it's been quite an experience for me.
So you can teach an old dog new tricks, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you can. It might take long.
So how did you get involved with supporting independent school districts and their UAS programs in North Texas?
Yeah, so when I came on board with Halff, they hired me to do business development for their survey geospatial group, and our management at Halff is always pushing on us to get involved in the community. That's a big ethos with our company. We want to improve lives and community, And so I started to get back into different associations that are working in geospatial, and drones is a big thing in North Texas, particularly in the Dallas area. So one of the groups that I originally got involved with was the North Central Texas Council of Governments, NCT-COG, and they started a UAS task force. I believe it was back in about 2018, and I got involved in 2019. Ernest Halff is one of their aviation directors there, and he got it going. And so it's involved with all aspects of UAS, so even air mobility. I saw a need right away for them to learn about mapping with drones, and so became involved with that group. And immediately in 2019, when I got involved with them, they had an event for some of the ISDs here in North Texas on the Tarrant County side. It's called Game of Drones. And they had a number of about 10 ISDs that were involved, and they just got together. And at that time, they were really just working with drone kits. And so trying to put the drones together and then get them to fly and to do a couple of things. So again, I saw that need right away of them to get involved with surveying and mapping, because we were already at that point utilizing drones on a pretty regular basis in North Texas anyway. And I just saw the workforce development opportunities for these students to move into not only geospatial services, but land surveying, which needs a lot of folks to come on into that industry as well. So I was just lucky enough that there was a good group of folks working with UAS here, and I saw that opportunity and got involved with them.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the North Texas Aerial Robotics Group and your involvement with that group?
Yeah, that's a group that is working with, at this point now, it's back to 10 ISDs. They were at 11 ISDs. And ISDs, for folks that don't know, in Texas is just an independent school district. So Fort Worth ISD was the biggest school district that was involved with the North Central Aerial Robotics Group. And I started just being an advisor to them. Students look at drones as kind of that bright, shiny object, I like to say, that really attracts them, something fun to do. And it also, kind of plugs into the video game thing, I think, just naturally. And so they have a lot of students interested in it. I just saw a need for them to learn more about what's going on with photogrammetry and mapping and land surveying. And so started working with this group. The Gulf South region, which is both Texas and Louisiana, that I'm in, has started a field day now for these guys, and we'll be working on our third one coming up this year. We usually have it in May, and we're in the planning stages right now. But so we bring approximately 100 students each year to give them exposure to all different types of geospatial technology and equipment. So I work with a number of firms in the area, and we just get crews to come out, and I try to, segment those crews. So we get some folks that are working with drones, we get mobile lidar people out, we get conventional land surveying crews out as well, because I want to have the breadth of our industry to let these students know about. And essentially we just set up stations, and the students are in groups, and they just move through the stations to gain exposure about the technology and careers that we have in land surveying and geospatial technologies. The students love it. We get them pizza and have lunch in the middle of it. And we have a couple of educational institutions from the area that come out to it so that they can talk about their programs, so that the students can see the progression of the career that they can have in the industry. It's been a great success the last couple of years, and we're kind of locking it down this year to have some better planning for it as we get into it, so that we can even bring in some more technologies like bathymetric, surveying or hydrography for them to look at and try to expand upon this. And of course, I'm always looking to talk about GIS. I try to hit all the categories that ASPRS has had certification for, and GIS I just see as a natural component for us to plug into with all the institutions that have GIS in their entities, just naturally. So another thing to entice the students with.
So when you're organizing something like that and getting a bunch of different firms involved, does that open up collaboration opportunities for like between firms for, joining up forces for bigger projects and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's really good for that, and it's a great question, Greg, because a lot of the firms that I approach for this, we're kind of natural competitors because we're doing the same thing, and they might be a civil engineering firm, they might be just a land surveying firm, but we're kind of vying for that work altogether. But I think it's really a testament to the people that are involved with the Gulf South region, and maybe just particularly here in North Texas, which I'd like to promote. These people are really behind getting this information out to students and giving their time and efforts to let students know of all the different aspects that come along with land surveying and geospatial services. Not only just being able to fly the drones, I try to impart to the students that's maybe is a way to get into the industry, but there's a lot of other careers that you can connect into that. Even if you want to go into civil engineering itself or become an architect or any of that kind of stuff. So anything within the AEC industry that I can kind of connect in there, I see it as this natural thing. So it's just a testament, like I said, Greg, to these folks wanting to grow the industry as much as I do, and having a passion for the young people that are involved in this area with us.
So what are the main skills that they're learning through those programs?
Yeah, so of course, we're going to have drones out there, and we're talking to them about the different types of drones and different equipment that we utilize, and the different project types that we have. That again, I like to let them know about the breadth of everything that we do. Because it's really not just mapping and surveying anymore. With these technologies, we're finding new things to do with them all the time, and so. I like that because the students have this passion, and they just naturally think of different ways to use the technologies that we have. And of course, I think that's the big component of all this too. As you all know, that these technologies are constantly changing and progressing. And so it's something that it helps us just to stay in touch overall with what's going on with the industry. I think by being involved with these students and keeping yourself involved in what's new out there and what you can bring to the table.
Yeah, having a different, fresh set of eyes on things would be an advantage for sure. I always get stuck in my trying to solve the original problems, of surveying and mapping. But if you can kind of make that a little broader, the applications, that'd be super helpful.
Yeah, it helps to add to the appeal for the students too.
So how can early career professionals get involved with similar type of initiatives to build their own skills and networks?
I am a big proponent of outreach. So, I've done business development for a number of years in my career in different industries. And I've just learned that the best way to get in touch with people is to pick up the phone and give them a phone call, shoot them an email, try to set up a meeting with them to sit down and talk with them. I think that personal outreach is always very important because you're just telling somebody that you're important to me because I'm going to invest my time in you. So I say, pick up the phone, call in Texas, it happens to be the continuing education groups that are some of the easiest groups to get involved with because they're involved with workforce development at their particular school districts or schools. And so just getting online and giving a call, and I'll just call the administrators and say, hey, introduce myself. Can you get me in touch with the person that might be involved with this at your institution? It gets a little bit harder at higher education because those departments are spread apart a little bit more. And so I use the same kind of method there. I'll just try to do a little bit of research online first, and then just do some outreach, some personal outreach. Like I said, by shooting an email, phone call, or trying to schedule some time to meet with them.
Perfect. So switching gears a little bit, can you talk about the origins of the Gulf South region?
Yeah. Again, another one of my passion points. So after I started working at Halff, I got more involved with ASPRS again. When I was in the small photogrammetric firms, it's kind of funny. I kind of gravitated towards the surveying and civil engineering firms as as folks that I was trying to talk to, because those are naturally going to be the people that I want to work with. And so, being at Halff, kind of the same thing, that they wanted me to get involved with that. So I got more involved with ASPRS at that point. We have a lot of surveyors already involved with the surveying groups. And so they wanted me to kind of expand our reach, and they hadn't been involved with ASPRS much themselves. So that was one way that I wanted to do that, was to work through ASPRS. And so when I got involved, I kind of, after I'd moved over here to Texas in 2017 from Arizona, was looking for things that ASPRS might doing. And at the time, Texas was part of the Mid-South region, which was a pretty big region. And so I think that it was just one of those things where they didn't have a lot of folks in the area that were involved. I literally went to the website and looked up all the certified professionals in Texas, and started to reach out to those folks, and got in touch with Cody Condren with KCI Technologies almost immediately back in about 2019. And we started talking about a chapter in Texas. And then I got involved with Demetrio and Karen and everybody on the national level. And they expressed to me that, regions is kind of the way that ASPRS prefers to work, and asked me if I would be interested in starting a region. And then we started to work on the details of that, how we were going to pull out a couple of states, or one or two states out of the Mid-South, to make another region, and to try to help develop both of those regions, make the Mid-South a little bit smaller so it would be a little bit more easier to handle. And then Texas and Louisiana were about the same size as far as membership numbers. And so that's what we settled on. Studied the bylaws from different regions, different chapters, and national, and it came up with our own bylaws. And literally just for the last, since 2019, so 5 or 6 years, whatever it is now, Cody and I have just pushed forward with it. I was the first president of the region. Cody was the second president, and now we have, regular elections, and have just grown the group rather organically. Again, word of mouth, getting on phone, try to set up events that are valuable to people, and trying to do things that weren't going on previously that we wanted to pursue in this region. So it's kind of been a process, but it's been a very fulfilling one. I think as to continue to grow, one of my challenges is to bring in more people as members. And so we're going to start to look at establishing chapters, local chapters now across Texas and Louisiana, so we can get more in-person events going on.
So what kind of impact has that had on the local geospatial community?
It's probably a little bit or kind of early to tell on, how things are going. We keep growing. We keep getting more people coming to our board meetings and our member meetings that we have monthly. We're going to try something a little bit different moving into 2025. And instead of focusing on monthly meetings, which is kind of hard to get people to get onto all the time, we're going to put a focus on the quarterly meetings. We're doing some outreach with some other associations that are involved in the AEC industry. Professional services has a number of associations and societies, and there's just some natural collaborations that we can establish with some of these groups. So, we've been talking to the Texas Society of Professional Surveyors. Texas UESI is underground surveying and engineering group. And so we're just going to continue that outreach, and again, try to build chapters with higher education facilities across the state as well, because those over the years have kind of fallen off here in Texas.
So can you give us a preview of your 2025 Gulf South Region Conference? I think I've attended it virtually or something once or twice.
Yeah, so this will, man, I have to think. I believe this will be our 5th one, because we had 3 virtual ones, and the first one was very small. And then we had our first in-person one last year over in Louisiana at Nicholls State University, which is our first student chapter. So we wanted to promote that. And this year we're going to be at the University of Texas at their Commons Conference Center, and it's going to be March 12th through the 14th. We've worked really hard within our own region to establish some folks to do the technical sessions that we want to do. So we're always looking internally to develop those resources first. So We'll have 6 technical sessions this year, along with preparation for ASPRS certification workshop that we did last year as well. And then we also do a geospatial experts panel that Karen Shuckman comes into, and she's been a part of the panel last year, and she'll be a part of the panel this year with us. And this year we're going to have Kent Grow with the Geoholics podcast is going to come in and be the moderator for the panel. And he's also going to have a booth there where he's going to do some interviews of the attendees there as we're trying to expand our reach through that as well. So we're hoping to get a few more attendees than we had last year. And we're also working with what we are calling our partners. And these are going to be state agencies, higher education institutions, and again, these other professional service associations, societies, what have you, to bring them in and give them a booth and give them some space to also, collaborate and work with us as well, in the hopes that we can bring in some more folks with entities that they want to work with and get the information out that they want to get out about their particular firms and what they're doing geospatial wise. So we're really looking forward to this one. It's a big challenge for us because it's a little bit more expensive than what we've done in the past. It is an in-person only event. We are kind of keeping a little bit of flexibility with that. If we get a real good turnout on attendees and sponsors lined up, we are going to possibly look at doing some virtual sessions with that as well. I don't know that we'd be able to have an open session for the whole conference, but maybe for the technical sessions themselves, we might be able to put a few of those up virtually. But that will remain to be seen as we get the planning and the registration process underway here. But registration is open on our community page. It was opened up on Monday. And so we can provide a link to you all, or, people can just direct themselves to the Gulf South Region community page on the events, and it's the top event that we have listed on our events page.
Perfect. So what kind of opportunities are there for early career professionals at the conference?
Yeah, so we like to have student involvement. So Balaji Ramachandran, who's over at Nichols State University, is a professor there. He's going to be working with students in the 2 states that we're in to bring up some projects that the students have been doing. We had some presentations from students last year. So we do like to put out there that we'd like to get younger folks to it. We keep the costs for students pretty low for the conference as well. And so it's a great way to get to learn more about the industry if they're not well acquainted with, what geospatial does and who we work with. But it's also a great way to learn about the career that you might be able to have just by networking with some of the professionals that we'll have on site there. And so we always are looking for different ways. I believe Balaji's got a poster event planned with the students coming into this one. And then, we're always looking for new things. So we keep talking to National about the different events that they're having, and we'll keep talking to different regions to see what they're doing to try to come up with great plans for the young folks.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So switching gears a little bit, you were talking about your career was originally in business development. Can you describe what that is, or at least what it should be, like the goals of business development?
Yeah, well, let's just nail it down to professional services, or bring it to professional services. So for me, business development has always been, kind of about establishing relationships. The different industries that I've worked with, there's always another sale that you can have with it. We're looking for repeat clients in the photogrammetric services or lidar services or geospatial services. We want to bring those clients back to us. They're going to be doing, hopefully multiple projects over the life of their firms that they're with as well. And so I think the best way to do business development, at least in my opinion, is to, again, you got to kind of roll up your sleeves, get out there and meet people and establish those relationships with those people. Within that, you've got to provide a great product. And so you want to be very honest with the people and let them know that they can trust you, and that you're someone that they, again, can return to again and again, to get done what they need to get done. So, for me, it's again about getting out there and meeting the people that you want to work with, learning about them, learning what their needs are, what are the things that are causing them pain when it comes to mapping. How can you help them? What's the best way to do it? So a lot of that is listening. You don't go into that and build a relationship with somebody by just telling them about your company and what you do. You need to listen to them and learn about what they're doing and try to figure out the best ways that you can work with them. So, for me, again, just building those relationships with people and trying to bring a little bit of a personal touch to it, to the extent that you can.
So I don't know if this is appropriate, but I'm thinking, so the opposite of the cold LinkedIn messaging that isn't personalized at all, where they're essentially trying to do business development and they have no idea who you are or what you do or anything. You're talking about listening to people, finding out what their problems are and finding a solution to their problem, and then building a relationship over time by providing a good service and a good product.
Exactly. It can be summed up pretty easily, but sometimes that's not so simple to do. It takes a lot of persistence. And that's another hallmark of business development. You got to be persistent. You got to, not live and die on each phone call or each meeting that you have, right? You got to believe in yourself, keep trying to improve what you do. Again, be very honest with the people that you're working with. So even when I've had issues with projects, I've learned the best way to deal with that is to confront that right up front and just be honest with the people and work towards a solution with it. I think in the industry that we're in, we're always looking for solutions for our clients, and trying to be creative in those solutions that we come up with. But being honest with them, I think, is something that they're going to see right away. They're obviously gonna understand that with the product that you're giving them, because if you're telling them one thing and you're delivering something else, that sends a very different message to them. So just being honest and dealing with them up front, I think, is a really good way to be with anyone and work in any situation, actually.
Yeah, they're all people, and they all know that challenges arise, and that it's best to be open about those right off the bat than to wait till delivery day to tell them that your GPS wasn't turned on when you collected the lidar for the one flight.
Yep, it happens. It happens.
So what tips do you have for early career professionals looking to secure their first projects?
Looking for their first projects, did you say? Sorry.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like they're kind of in that stage where they're working on building those relationships, but they haven't quite got there yet. Are there any tips that can get them to that kind of next level?
Yeah, well, this will sort of sound like a canned response. It's not. What I say they do is a very good thing for anybody in any industry. Get involved with an association or a society that promotes that industry or that thing that you're doing. So for us, naturally, ASPRS is a great match. MAPS is another group that's out there. Any of the land surveying associations or societies in the states that you're involved with as well, because in the industry that we're in, you want to work with those surveyors and those engineers as much as other geospatial professionals. And so I think getting involved with these groups when you're young, volunteering to be on some of the committees so that people can learn who you are, can actually see what kind of a work ethic that you have away from your actual job. So it gives them another perspective about your personality and about your work ethic, that kind of stuff. And shows them, what kind of a person that you are. Are you somebody that's going to pitch in and help out when you can? But within that, you're also going to meet people. You're going to be able to network with these people And, when you're young, ask questions. I don't know of any of the folks that I work with in this industry that won't bend over backwards to help out young people and give them, advice, suggestions, tell them about our experiences. I'd like things to be easier for people getting into this industry than it was for me. Not that it was particularly hard, but I think when you're new to anything and you don't know what's going on, or you don't have the experience with whatever that entity is, it helps to have somebody that does. So, look to the elders in the profession to help you out, and ask them, let people know that you need some help. I think that people always like to provide help and assistance to people that are asking for it. I think it's just natural to human beings. And so, getting involved with organizations, number one, is going to get your name and your face out there, and you're going to meet some people. But showing them that you're willing to do a little bit of work on the back end is also good as well.
Yeah, it's a common theme we've had in these podcasts, is exactly what you're talking about, joining those organizations, and networking is a huge one. We met Karen when we asked her about what's the best thing you can do to your resume to win jobs. She said, I've never won a job with a resume. It was always through networking and a group of people and just expressing that I wanted a new job. So going back to the kind of BD and contract winning world, which strategies, or can you elaborate on any other strategies you found effective to position yourself to win contracts?
Well, in our industry, staying up to date with the technology. But I mean, it's absolutely critical that you do that. Just one example that I'll provide. So as a photogrammetrist, when UAS or drones started to come onto the scene, a lot of us didn't receive them so well, didn't know much about the technology, probably in most cases, unless we were involved with drones in some other capacity prior to that. So kind of similar to when lidar was first coming on the scene. A lot of people were suspicious of lidar. There was a lot of projects that I picked up as a photogrammetrist that folks that, jumped in with both feet, but maybe hadn't done their homework on it yet and had bad projects, they'd come back to us because something bad had happened. And so, knowing what you're doing is, it's obvious. You need to do that. But I think in this industry, really staying on top of where this technology is going and trying to plan out ahead. But one of my favorite sayings, and I drive people crazy here at Halff when I say it, because I say it so often, is if you're not planning for change, you are not planning. And I think it's just as black and white and simple as that, because the only thing that we know that's going to happen is things are going to change in the future. And so you need to kind of have put that crystal ball in front of you and try to think about where those technologies are going and how you might best be able to leverage those technologies with your client base. Because if you're ahead of those, of your competitors with that, you're going to win clients naturally.
And I think the evolution over the past 1,000 years of the surveying industry it was slow, but it was always progressively changing. And then now it's like, it's like a straight up, everything's changing almost on a monthly basis to technology. So you really have to be on top of it.
Yeah, I agree. That curve, that graph was probably, like this for a while. And then you're right. It's going straight up now.
Yeah. The past 20, 30 years, it's really gone up. And I always, you were talking about like when lidar came in. So side note about that, that's what got me involved and interested in ASPRS, was like a project going wrong with lidar. And, I just thought, what is the point of this if it's out by 3 meters vertically? Like, I don't understand it, but we found out later on that it's not supposed to be that way.
Yeah. It's an ever evolving thing, and it's going to stay like that.
That's how I feel right now about like the SLAM-based scanners. I think there's a lot of like the same type of, just like lidar when it came out, like, oh yeah, this is accurate to a millimeter. Let's go design a pipe network off of it. And then finding out when you have the pipe welded up that it doesn't fit. So, how can early career professionals gather and use market intelligence to identify new opportunities in this industry?
Yeah, I mean, it's what I've done in my career in business development over the years. Try to get as much information as I can about the group that I want to work with or the type of projects that I want to work in. Again, so that I'm up to speed with it and I'm offering the most up to date, services that we can offer, or the most up to date products that we can offer, or just from a consultative perspective. People will understand if you've thought about some of these things. One of the big things that's coming up now, and I think is going to be huge for geospatial and land surveying professional services down the road, is what everybody's talking about. It's AI, right? Artificial intelligence. How are we going to best use that? Is it going to cost us jobs? And do I need to look for a different career because of it? I really don't think so, because again, I think what it's going to be, it will start out in small pieces. I think in professional services, particularly in mapping, it's going to be extraction. We're going to try to take the manual component out of it as much as we can, or to make that component more efficient. But you're always going to need those eyes to edit or QA QC it, however you want to look at it, to be there for things. So I really don't see the human component going out of it, but I think that, again, that planning for change aspect is very important in the industry that we're in, because we just know it's moving at lightning speed at this point.
Are there any other changes or trends that you see coming on the horizon in the geospatial industry?
One of my particular things that I've been looking at for the last 3 or 4 years is indoor mapping. With Next Gen 911 getting new standards and them wanting to be able to locate emergencies, not just to the physical address, but to, like the actual office that I'm in on 2nd floor in this building. They got to have floor plans for that. Is it surveying and mapping as we've known it in the past? No, but it's remote sensing. And some of the things that I've worked on here in Texas for school safety came out of a lot of the work with ISDs that I had. They're looking for curriculum for their students and what can they do at that level. Well, they've got drones already at these schools, and they may not be able to collect data like we can with, surveyors and using ground control, but they can start using that data. And so at Halff, we, worked on developing a school safety application that involves taking scans, terrestrial scans of the spaces indoors, so that you've got 360 imagery along with the floor plans that you have. And then also bringing in all the rest of the attribute information that you can about those inside spheres. Where are the AED devices at? Where are the fire extinguishers at? Where do we have a lab that's got some hazardous materials in it that we might need to know about? In Texas, the schools have been tasked with getting maps, which hasn't been defined yet, to law enforcement. So, there's over 1,000 ISDs in Texas. My fear is that if there's not some kind of standardization with this, there's going to be 1,000 different maps out there. They may not talk to each other or work with each other, or necessarily involve first responders to the extent that I think we need to with schools. So I think this indoor mapping sphere is going to be the next big thing for people that are in remote sensing, because we can use drones, we can use mobile devices for this, we can use static or terrestrial devices for this as well, and then the SLAM devices. There are those spaces that are outside, but within the context of the building, like garden areas or parts of the schools that are just under overhangs. You need information about that as well. So one of the things that I think is going to be really exciting is how GIS and remote sensing really converge for indoor mapping.
Cool. Yeah, I like it. That was similar sentiment from Paul Bader on one of our previous episodes. He said the same thing. He thinks BIM and indoor mapping are kind of the next frontier of the geospatial world.
I agree.
And also worth noting, we have a podcast recorded. It's not published yet, but we had a postdoctoral researcher on talking about all the challenges that I was totally unaware of with indoor mapping. like for example, aligning a map to the actual building space by a column. There's 1,000 columns in the building. How do you figure out which one is that column type of thing? And he talks about mixed reality and machine learning for those problems. Those are problems that he's working on.
Yeah.
So is there any pieces of advice you could give to early career professionals transitioning throughout their career? Like, what are your top lessons learned? And if you could go back and talk to yourself, what would you tell yourself?
Great. Another great question. I think that the main thing for any young person getting into any industry that I would throw out there for them, just based on the experience I've had, be persistent. Give yourself a break, and give yourself time. Look for resources and support that you can get. And that's why I think ASPRS is so important in what we do, because I think young people can go to ASPRS and get that support that they need. Not only just by getting, documentation and things like that, or getting up to speed on standards, having that kind of information, but also tapping into the resources that we're doing right now. And that's you and me, Greg, that's you and me and Jordan, all of us together. People are the best resource that we have. And so, be persistent and just don't get down on yourself, and try to be positive about things. And if you are, hard work pays off. It'll come back to you in spades.
Awesome. Great advice. So if anybody wants to reach out to you to get in touch and ask more questions, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, I'm going to keep promoting ASPRS. The community pages that we have set up are great. So you can go to the Gulf South region in the directory, and you can find me there and send me a direct message that way. That's probably the best way for everybody to get in touch with me if they need to.
I have a question. Oh, we have a question from a live attendee. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Yusuf. I'm the past chair for ECPC, and I'm really happy. And I said I'm going to attend live to ask those questions because I've seen Bill. He's very active at the ASPRS level and at the geospatial level nationwide, I would say. Yeah, many of the events, I see him in Florida. So I really like what you mentioned about the game of drones. One of the key things that can bring empowerment at the region to region, I would say, is spreading success stories and outreach, because it's the most challenging part. My question to you regarding your effort in the outreach, when you have unpleasant experience, how can you bring energy and keep going? Because sometimes you make 100 phone calls, I don't know how many meetings, and then you find out that the bottom-up approach is not working. You need to come top-down because people, they're not taking it seriously. It's not part of their KPI or something.
Yeah, Yusuf, for me, it's, there's always another door to knock on. And so keep moving on, Wasn't it Bob Dylan on one of his songs said, keep moving on. That's what I think you need to do. So if you have something that's, not the greatest experience in the world, examine what you did, try to learn from it. That's always what we want to do. Identify, if you can, the things that you can do better. But in most cases, just try to remain positive and move on. The sun will come up tomorrow.
My thing is that sometimes you do a lot of meetings with I would say, not the right people within that, and the outreach, they cannot help you. And you cannot know that ahead of time. And you invest so much energy, and then you have to change direction. I know you can build on top and you're learning, but this is the kind of experience that for me, sometimes it takes me time to recover and start again.
Yeah, it's never easy, Yusuf, and you do have to have a little bit of a hard skin. But you know, if you know that you're doing the right things yourself, you can feel confident that at some point you're gonna be able to convey that to the person that you're talking to. So yeah, you may need to sometimes, you know, have a little bit of introspection, figure out maybe how you can do things a little bit better, but be persistent and just have faith in yourself. That's the best thing that I can say to young people. You have a whole big long life in front of you. Don't let one little thing dissuade you from doing what you really want to do. You know, re-examine, reevaluate, and go at it a different way.
And I want to say thank you for sharing us your perspective about the business development. I worked as a business development director before coming back to UF, and that was also a challenge for me. But I like the way you said it is about establishing relationship, being honest, and build the trust, and showing that you know you're there. Be consistent. I think that's a key. And I think business development is about creating a brand for your own self, like exactly what you said. Put your name out there, your face, that people know you, and the way you handle with volunteering. So that's why I see like ASPRS is giving a good platform for like ECPC, like Greg, Jordan, myself. This is an opportunity for us to interact and get the people to know us and learn more about them.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel the same way too. You know, when we started the region, it's been a lot of hard work, but man, has it paid off. And has ASPRS been there to support me the full way. I've gotten to know Yuki Day and the office very, very well, and Karen, and you know, folks like yourself, Yusuf, because I did want to get involved, and I wanted to meet the people and learn from the people that had gone before me, what they had done and what they had experienced.
So question about the event, is it University of Texas? Where in Texas? Where is it? Which city?
Yeah, for the conference?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Austin, Texas, in the north parts of, on the university, actually. So we'll be on the university campus. We are going to have UAS demonstrations. We're working on getting approval for that from them as well. So we'll have a couple of the folks that are sponsors that will be there, and we did that last year at Nicholls State as well. But yeah, we'll be at Austin this year, and it's the last weekend of the South by Southwest Festival, and we changed things up. So we're doing a Wednesday through Friday this year. So if people want to have that weekend then to spend in Austin to, you know, do whatever they want to do, we changed it up a little bit on the schedule as we heard that from some of the folks from last year, where we'd started on a Sunday and ended on a Tuesday. This way we're going to do it a little bit different. So people might have the weekend to have a little fun in Austin when they're there too.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Any other last thoughts, Bill, or anybody else? I don't see any other questions from the crowd here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I think these are great. I love to see that you guys are doing this. I think it's important work for ASPRS to be involved with the mentoring of the young people as they come up. And again, it's the best way to build our membership as we go as well, right? Because we bring new people in at the same time as we get to help them grow in the industry. So thanks for all that you guys are doing as well.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for your comments. One of the best things about this has been learning that people are just people. And I think, you know, as people start to listen to the podcast more and watch it on YouTube, they'll be less afraid to go and speak to people such as yourself when they see you at Geo Week and stuff like that. So that's probably been one of the many benefits I've realized for sure, is just getting to know everybody at a personal level. So, well, thank you so much.
Thanks very much.